Welcome to the Unfiltered Path Podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering our listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, the struggles, and the transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth, to be moved, to be inspired, and discover that you are not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hey everyone, I'm Trinity Baker. I am a mindset coach and motivational speaker. I take my clients from survival mode to thrival mode as a mindset coach. And I'm joined here as a co-host with...
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I am an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people how to do it as well. And I'm here with my co-host.
Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I am the owner of Valued Productions. We provide video marketing strategies to help you turn strangers into clients using social media and video content. And I'm super excited today to be joined by our awesome guest.
Hey everyone, I'm Christine Hamady. I'm one of the co-owners of Time for Printing, and we are a commercial printer located in Windham where we focus on branding and making sure that your image is the best it can be when it's facing your clients.
Love that. So important as business owners, because even if we're doing the same thing, we're doing something different, right? Because every single one of us is so unique in our approach and in our passion. So I love what you do, Christine, is really like offering business owners a unique way to display their uniqueness and how they stand out.
Yeah, it's definitely a learned skill that we have. Our design team to our production team, we all get together, we talk about jobs, we make sure that the vision is cohesive all the way through the process so that everyone knows exactly how products are supposed to be when they leave the door and are in your hands, and that everything matches and that you're happy with it. That's the big thing, is that we want our clients to be happy with what they're getting and have it match their brand personality.
I love that, which is so important. So you really you offer business owners an additional team. Like they can as a team.
Actually, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, like if you're a small business owner and you don't have your own marketing team or marketing person, that is what we provide. We, can create a brand for you and then, give you mock-ups for this is how a business card should look. This is how a car wrap should look. This is how your sign should be, your garments, whatever it is. And then it gives you that whole package. So Trinity, I never thought of it that way, but I think I'm gonna start using that. So
I mean, one of the scariest things about being a business owner is being in business by yourself. So
yeah, very true. Very true.
Like I personally rely on a lot of my fellow BNI members to kind of be that business partner in what they do. Like Graham, I don't know, I consider Graham a business partner in my business because he taught me how to do reels and market my business, right? And get my message out that way. So I mean, no one else taught me how to do that. So Graham is my business partner. So I love that. How did you get into Time for Printing?
So I grew up in the printing industry. My parents have a printing company that, they started in the 70s, started as a retail store, and then they were printing, apparel for their store and for other local retail stores. And then it got morphed into, clients or other businesses that are friends of ours saying, hey, can you print shirts for me? And then, retail very much changed in the 2000s. A lot of it was starting to go online and there was a lot more competition. And then we just kind of said, the custom printing portion of it, the commercial printing was really taking off. So that's the direction they went in. And I joined BNI as a member of my parents' company. And they were very much like, oh, I don't think you should do this networking thing. I don't think it's going to, do what you think it's going to. And I was like, well, let me try it for a year. Let me see what it does. And then, you know, if you hate it and you think it's a waste of my time, then we'll reevaluate. And I met Kelly and Niels as the executive directors of BNI Maine. And Kelly and I just clicked. I mean, Women in Print is a very small group anyway. And then, you know, coming from having family in business that you're kind of emulating is always a nice connector to other people. So we were talking and I said, hey, you know, I'm getting this type of printer, but don't worry, I don't want to do car wraps. You know, I want to do this other. She goes, well, you know, if you ever want to. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, and then we started talking. I brought in a friend of mine as a business partner. And then in a couple months, we buttoned it all up and now I own a print shop. You know, it was very serendipitous and things kind of fell into place at the right time for everyone involved. And it just kind of worked out. And Kelly and Niels now have a building across the street. So whenever I have weird questions that someone comes in and says, hey, can you wrap a building for me? I'm like, maybe. And I go and talk to Niels, like, you totally can. So, you know, they're very still involved in, you know, like the big questions where, you know, I'm still learning that, but it's been a really great experience to be able to take on something that's been around for, I think it was like 15 or 16 years that they had it before we bought it. And then also have their expertise available when things are out of my depth. Which thankfully after about a year and 8 months now, that there are less of those times. So, you know, I am learning and, you know, feel like I'm, you know, we're doing it on our own, but it's nice to have them as a backup. If it's like, hey, there's this weird thing that someone wants us to do, and what are your thoughts on it? How would I go about coordinating it? So, yeah.
You just brought up a really great point, which I think only BNIers see it this way.
BNIers.
And I'd be interested to see what Graham and Danielle's take on this is that in BNI, there is no competition. Like I am constantly meeting with other coaches. I am not competition at all whatsoever. Like we literally had a mindset coach on last week before, like bring it on. BNI, I don't think BNI members think of anyone as competition because we all just collaborate. What do you guys think?
Yeah, 100%. I love that.
They need barriers or boundaries where there could be more of a personal issue, where, you know, each chapter is exclusive. And in that, it allows productive collaboration because people are outside of your direct network, usually. Yeah. So I think that because those boundaries are in place, they make that lifestyle possible. I have my best relationships with aerialists that are close, but they're not going to come take the gigs that they know that I should be doing. We're here to make those gigs possible in multiple communities. So BNI was conscious, you know, and they made those boundaries. And because of that, we grow. Like I went to Brazil, Zoom, BNI, because another artist found me and was like, your artwork at the time is different, but it like worked with him. So I had a lot of collaborating when I was in my artist seat in BNI versus the entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to enjoy those perks. It's definitely a safe place to collaborate.
I love that. Yeah, I totally agree, because kind of what we were talking on earlier is like, you know, people do similar things, and like, how do you find them to stand out in their different ways? And there's always like some little thing that's different. You know what I mean? Like I had a meeting, a one-to-one with another video person the other day, and he approaches things so much different than I do. He's more kind of on the production side of content creation, like, you know, longer form documentaries and things like that, where I'm like on the form of like marketing and digital and stuff like that. And so it's cool to see where the same industry like you said, Danielle, can collaborate. Like I could potentially even send him referrals, because I'm not trying to do like a 17-person full film documentary kind of thing for a business. I mean, that's great. Like we can do something.
Who we wish that they would just take the leap because they have stuff that world needs. They have a voice that the world needs, passion that the world needs, services the world needs, but a lot of times they won't because we need security too of health insurance and retirement. So tell us a little bit about how you help those people understand that they don't need to allow their health insurance and retirement and all those benefits hold them back.
Oh, 100%. That is probably the most exciting calls I do is with the entrepreneur that is so ready to take their side hustle into a full-time job, or they're working 2 full-time jobs, but they're keeping one just for the health insurance benefits because they don't understand how the Affordable Care Act or in Maine, it's called coverme.gov works, because you might go on it quickly. And when you take a cursory glance and you don't put the numbers in right, one, you don't see the decrease of the cost goes in because it looks at your age and your income. And if you look quickly, it looks pretty brutal. But it's actually very approachable. And secondly, it's kind to self-employed people because it's looking at net self-employment. So you can take, it's not your top line revenue. I had a gentleman once who was a contractor. And so he was putting in the amount of money he was bringing in. I think it was $250,000. And so they were telling him, hey, you get no support whatsoever. But then we talked like, you're only paying yourself $50. Like that's not the same. And so it was like $1,000 a month swing for him and his family. And so he was able to get health insurance. His wife was pregnant and it was this amazing load off. And they're not going to tell you that because why would the health insurance company help with that? They're just making more money. So you need to understand it. It's all about that knowledge gap. And then you can be self-employed.
Wow.
Love that.
Fabulous.
It's mind blowing.
Tell us a little bit of, like, I can feel your passion, and I love entrepreneurs that have like this radiant passion about what they do. Why are you so passionate about this?
Oh, so I got into the health insurance field originally. So my sister is 24 and she has cerebral palsy and autism. So she's very special needs. So she lives with us full time. I'm her caretaker. Absolutely adore her. And so when she turns 18, there was a kind of fall off of benefits. There's a lot of great organizations for disabled children, less for disabled young adults. So then 2 years later, she went on Medicare for the first time. And at that point, we lived together. And so I got to see her walk through this. We got to discover Medicare together, figure out what does it mean? How does Medicare, which is typically for 65-year-olds, look for a 20-year-old? And so I got really into that because I'd always loved disability rights. My mother had been doing the same thing for 17 years. And so I started doing this more on the side and while I worked my other job. And I discovered there's so much support working with other young families, other families with disabled young adults and educating them. It's life-changing because when suddenly you're not concerned about going to the doctor, you're not concerned about all these different pieces because your healthcare is doing what it's supposed to do, then you're more likely to go and get the physical therapy because you know the copays versus avoiding the physical therapy, avoiding all of these interventions, and then needing a surgery down the line. Mm-hmm. So it's been a huge impact on our lives. And so I love just talking to other families about it.
Interesting.
So beautiful. So beautiful. You're a great resource for many families, right? So not only like those entrepreneurs who are like, oh, I really am ready to take that leap. Brianna will help you, but also the families who are like, I am caring for a loved one with special needs and I have no idea where to turn. I worked in the long-term care system for a long time and you are right. Once you turn 18 one day, it's like a cliff comes and everything changes in the long-term care world. Everything. So I love that you are a resource and you know that personally, because then you know the feeling that they're going through, not just the logistics of the services, the copays, the finances, but it's a whole feeling.
100%. I think there's a lot of that. Go ahead, Graham.
I was just gonna say, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, when helping people, and it's cool to see someone like yourself in this type of role, more than just like, you know, working a 9 to 5, providing health insurance and Medicare. It's like essentially like coaching and like being a service provider within this realm of the health insurance and Medicare field. Because when people do like you said, Trinity, that feeling like, oh my God, this stuff is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you are experiencing big feelings, there is nothing better than having someone who is there saying, I know how it feels and I'm going to help you, right? It's not, man, that sucks. Wish you weren't going through that. Here's how I think I can help you, right? Like there is just a total different feeling. And that's like, I love giving. That's why I love working with people who struggle with depression and anxiety and trauma and lack of self-worth, because I've been there. I've struggled personally. I know it works. I know what I do works. Let me help you and normalize that in the meantime, because I've been there. Like we're all human. We're all dealing with stuff. Danielle, same thing with you, right? I'm sure you can look at someone who's brand new to a class that says, Danielle, I can't do that. And you're like, I know how it feels. It's scary. It looks like it's 500 feet in there, but it's only 5. And we'll lower it to 3. We'll help you take the next step. Like it. And I trusted you. I've been there. I was there, and I felt you. You made me feel okay for the feelings that I was feeling. So I love that.
Yeah, you thought it was impossible for you to go upside down. I vividly remember. And I was like, well, you can do that today, but cool. We'll like figure this out. What I love too is, so I feel like you really identify with all of us. So, Graham can take a look at somebody's media and marketing, be like, hey, this is where we need to switch things up. Trinity looks at crazy mind like mine and is like, we got to pivot this direction. You take some time to think, whatever it is she can say. And I do physical side. I feel like what you offer is just you're like a coaching service, almost like a mindset coach in certain ways. So that's really cool that you're there for the people. It's because we know we serve community first. So that's something that's like threaded in the 3 of us. So it's nice when we meet other people that are threaded the same. Unfiltered Path Podcast, where we explore life's journey without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an based now that I'm an aerialist full time, so let's be real, I gotta keep up with this stuff. So I've transitioned to Pilates. However, I was such a yogi. Heated yoga was my reward to myself when I lived in Florida, and it was like torture. It's hard.
Yeah.
What's heated yoga? Is it like
my reward to self?
Yeah, it's in a room that's really warm, almost like a
oh no.
Oh yes. Like take away every toxin out of my body, please. And
it is amazing.
Sheila back then, so I was like really turning away.
I'm all about the vinyasa, where it's like the breath and the movement at the same exact time. So there's not much like holding. It's just like constant moving and breathing.
I love that. Like they do certain moves that are to like massage the organs. Well, imagine if detoxification is the goal, right? So you're in this heated room and it's intense, so it goes from move to move quite quickly. However, they're doing moves that aren't necessarily like, I'm going to be stretching my hamstring here. It's not obvious like that at all. It's actually quite strange. And you're like, why am I even doing this? But the people leading know. And it's really with the mind of detoxification. So when you're ready, try heated yoga. I don't even know if they offer it in Maine. Maybe.
Yeah, I go to a studio in Brewer and Bangor area, and they don't this time of year because I think we're all hot anyway. But they do as the fall starts, and definitely in the winter, it's the best. Like we used to do one at like 4 p.m. on winter Sundays, and it was an amazing way to get ready for the week. Like you just go in there, be the last thing you do for the week, or the first thing.
I've never really done a yoga class. I have a couple times, but like it's not been like a regular thing for me. I'm all about like YouTube or like getting a subscription to a thing, and I just do it every morning.
I think that's very
part about yoga, but to bless yourself with someone critiquing your technique and ensuring that you're doing it correctly on your own time is absolutely valuable. And it also is a little more, if you give it to yourself like once every few months, like having an instructor, I actually I go to Pilates class. Now I teach Pilates in my class. And I go to a Pilates class. Like it's just, and I only go like, I don't go every Sunday because I can't, but when I can, like, you know, I give it to myself because even I will like slouch in movement to overcompensate, not because my shoulder might hurt. And she'll be like,
right. I get that. No, that's sweet.
So I've done yoga. I've just never like committed to it. Like I did a class here or there and like, but that was before I was really like into meditation. So the quiet mind and focus on the breathing was not there. So now that I know and I meditate on a daily basis, if not multiple times a day, maybe I will actually love yoga. I love this conversation. So this brings me to a point that like we were just talking about. This time of year is sort of like, for a lot of us, for many of us, like this reset in a way. So kiddos just went back to school yesterday for many of us. And then we have like the holiday weekend, which is kind of going to be a little crazy. And then like next week is kind of like that first week of September is like, in my mind, the first week of like that reset. So right now, mentally, I'm preparing in all aspects to reset next week. So this conversation is perfect for me. Yoga is going to be one of the things I implement. Guys, I was literally on the phone yesterday to cancel my gym membership. It was ringing and the lady answered and I was like, hang up.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I did that with my yoga membership because I was so bummed I hadn't used it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no.
Yes.
And so if I had been able to cancel it on the website, I would have been in trouble. But they were like, you have to call. And I was like, okay. And then instead of being able to just click cancel, I clicked what the class schedule was.
I love that, Michelle.
And that's how I ended up realizing that they had a Saturday class. This was Friday night. I had nothing going Saturday morning. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be in that class instead of getting rid of this. So it was completely worth it. And I agree. Yeah. I'm a reset person. I'm a September reset person. And I feel like this was the best way to start that for me, was being really intentional about going back there. And I walked in that studio. This is the thing I think you're missing at your home. I walked in that studio and I immediately felt that. Because of the way it's set up, because there's never been stress for me in that room, because the people in that room were like, oh my gosh, we haven't seen you all summer. Where have you been? You know, and they like wanted to hug me. And then, you know, so I would, if you can make it to a studio, I at least once or twice or once every other week, I would recommend it because it's not just about the movement of yoga. It's about the practicing of the yoga and being all together in that space, all having that same mindset and headspace about it.
I dig that.
I am making business decisions off of YouTube. So I did not do memberships before. And the fact that you guys are paying memberships and not even going, literally, I was kind of narcissistic, kind of thinking that while you were talking. And then
my daughter-in-law was 28 and had to have aortic valve replacement, which was crazy for a 28-year-old. And I'm so happy she's healthy. Like she is now 30, getting ready to be 30, and she's healthy and ready to go. But what came with that was about $19,000 worth of medical debt that was not covered by her insurance. And so I'm sitting here watching her work extra hours, my son pulling, side gigs on top of working his 40 to 45 hours. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. There are so many people in medical debt right now. I think in 2019, 59% of people who filed for bankruptcy cited medical debt as the major cause for them having to file for bankruptcy. And, It's sad. It is so sad. And I'm not going to lie, I remember many moons ago being in medical debt, and because things, weren't covered. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they put you through this whole gamut and they're still not taking care of what needs to be taken care of.
What I love is that because I hear this all of the time in clients who like have ideas for small businesses, or they're like entrepreneurs at heart, but they're still working a 9 to 5 because of the benefits. Where do I get health insurance when I don't have my 9 to 5 with my cushy benefits, right? Which we know here, and what you just talked about was like the cushy benefits actually really aren't cushy a lot of times. Like when you suffer from a huge medical expense, like you still have $19,000 in debt, even though you had this really great insurance. And so I think that what I love about what you do is that you're offering entrepreneurs who want to take that leap an affordable way to take that leap.
Exactly. I've had a couple one-to-ones with some people who really want to be entrepreneurs. They don't want to be stuck to their 9 to 5 or, whatever crazy hours they have to work, but they're stuck there for the benefits. And when you look at it, there really aren't any benefits that go along with it. You have high insurance premiums, high deductibles that are generally individual. And, I don't even think half the families out there meet their deductible each year. 5% of the population are responsible for 50% of the medical spending. And that's a scary, number when you think about it. And, insurance companies kind of have this whole one size fits all. Let's say we work for, a big box store, and, a 22-year-old was offered the same insurance as a 52-year-old, even though there's 30 years in age. They probably have different healthcare needs, but they're still paying the same amount, even though they're two totally different people. So I found this amazing company shortly after her surgery. So unfortunately, it couldn't help Emmy at all. But, I found a company that is truly out there disrupting the broken healthcare system. They have realized that medical debt and the medical billing is so overinflated. They are just not standing for it anymore. So what I love about this company is they renegotiate every single bill, every bill that comes in. I've literally seen a $220,000 breast cancer surgery drop down to $8,000. Like how does that even happen?
I mean, that's just right. And I love your passion. You could totally tell you were an entrepreneur and really passionate about this, as like Danielle is, about alternative ways to move your body and step into your creativity and your power, as Graham is disrupting the world of marketing and being able to get your message clear, as I am about showing people you don't need to be in survival mode for the rest of your life. That is the passion of entrepreneurs right there. Like we have this passion about what we do, and I love that so much. Makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
Company though, because like it's interesting because my why is deeply rooted in very similar story to you, and I identify a little bit more being a healer and artist than anything else. So I'd love to hear more about how they negotiate bills and things of that nature. That's really cool.
Yeah, it blows my mind that that is even charged, and then like they can negotiate it down to that. Like that's just mind blowing.
Yeah, like you need to know this. So what's up?
It's almost like being what happens. There's actually a book like of fair market value, for medical treatments. And so what happens is, with this particular health sharing company that I'm a part of, it works and it acts just like insurance in the fact that you have an actual ID card and you go right into the doctor's office and it has the payer ID, and so they can enter it in the system, and they send that bill off to Impact. So unlike other health share companies, generally you have to prepay and then you submit it back to your health share company. So you kind of have to negotiate your bill yourself. Well, this goes right to Impact. Impact looks at everything. And I just imagine, they bring out their Rolodex of charges and they're just going through and they're like, oh, they just charged $13,000 for that? That's really only like an $800 procedure. And so they go back through, then they send it back to the provider and they say, this is, what we consider to be fair and reasonable, and this is what we're going to pay you. I would say 9.5 times out of 10, they go ahead and go with it because they know that they're ripping you off. And then on top of that, they're getting paid in about 17 days. Versus like Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, it can sometimes take 60 to 90 days for your medical provider to receive that payment. So they're like, okay, they called us on our bullshit and they're going to pay us really fast. So let's just go ahead and accept it. And so that's pretty much what's happening. So they're saving the members' money. And it's been able to build up this wealth of revenue for all the health share members that they were able to offer these amazing programs that no other health share company is doing. And I just, let's see, my favorite piece, besides the fact that they renegotiate every single bill, they also have wholesale prescriptions. So, they have deals with different pharmacies. But you also, they offer this credit for health and wellness. And Trinity, you would appreciate this. Danielle, it might fit into you, but so they're very proactive about being healthy. Health sharing is more for healthy people. It's not for everybody. So, if you have a chronic illness, it's probably not going to be for you. But we believe in keeping your mind and your body healthy. That's what keeps healthcare costs down. So they started this July 1st, for every month that you do not meet your PRA, which let me tell you what a PRA is. We are all familiar with the deductible, right? Mm-hmm. You have a deductible that you have to meet before the insurance will even pay anything on your bill. And generally they're individuals. So, it could be like $2,500 per person. With the company that I'm with Impact, it's a family PRA. So if you have a family of 5 and you chose that $2,500 PRA, it all goes in together. You want that $10,000 PRA, which would obviously lower your monthly payments, then it's all included in the family. But for every month that you don't reach your PRA, they will give you a $100 credit to be applied towards acupuncture, vitamins and wellness, IV bars, men who receive testosterone treatments. And so this will continue. So it's like every single month you get that $100 credit. All you do is you submit what you paid to your acupuncturist or even your naturalist.
People just need hammock yoga. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I love the idea that there can be money spent on alternative like wellness, because I would diagnose like 80% of Americans with a yoga or a hammock or assisted stretching or swimming, because they actually act as the same. And money is better spent there. You're better off getting a Y membership, or 80% of America, I would diagnose. I'm not even saying they should come see me. I would diagnose everybody with that. If you have a desk job, like, one of the things that I do that's remarkable is I strengthen the forearm and the wrist. So I'm curing like a lot of carpal tunnel in the world, because my girls are workers, they're nurses, they're career women, and they come to me and I'm strengthening something that can't easily be worked out unless you're intentional. And it's the most overused part of the body. So like, imagine someone being like, well, you should go to aerial for 6 months and come back. I just love that. I just love the opportunity to like in yourself that's like different, like acupuncture. I don't know much about that myself, but yeah, so cool. I love that.
Memberships, things of that nature. In which, by the way, Danielle, like, I love hearing you talk about the hammock therapy, and I'm just like thinking, well, what if I just got in there and I just curled up? Would I ever even wake up?
It's for your mind too. There's so much benefits to these alternative therapies and health and wellness and proactiveness that, like, when I work with someone with anxiety, depression, I'm not giving them medication. I'm not talking about their problems over and over and over and over and over. We're talking about it. We're healing from it. We're moving forward. I'm giving them skills that they can then use in the future.
100%.
So it's smoking from going to a hypnosis that cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Took me a year to save up to pay for her. Now it was done. Like a habit of decades long. And even lingered at night, didn't really live the lifestyle. Like it wasn't even like that. But it was just so like pre-subconscious and chemical, right? And yeah, I knew I had to take matters in my own hand, live a different lifestyle, and I invested in a hypnosis. Who's coming in December on here, by the way.
Nice.
But I had to save up for that. So to imagine, or like, you know, when something crazy happens, I do lean on Trinity. I know I have a mental health person that I can reach out to, you know, like knowing that people could invest in this or that make real actual health changes by resourcing things that are just outside the box because they're quite effective.
Yeah, so true. Like, I've been listening to the book The Secret, and like it's very stuff that I'm very familiar with. And like just the other day, the story that the part in the book that I'm at is, you know, she's talking about how like everything is your mind. Like you literally create your reality with your mind, and like how there was this one guy who got in an accident, like crushed his diaphragm or whatever, and he essentially healed himself just by thinking, or like her mindset. I mean, her eyesight was healed just by thinking and like focusing on that energy of healing. And I think that speaks volumes to exactly like what you're doing, like, because that is what creates your reality of having that mindset. And if you can have a resource like you're saying, Danielle and Amber, that like helps facilitate that a little bit, like let's keep pushing this reality towards health and healing, the world will just be a so much better place.
And what an active like thing, like offer, because imagine like I used to go to the doctors because of what a habit would cause instead of proactively paying for decisions that would have changed it. So it's just living on the outside of that. I'm so grateful to have this platform to talk about it because I don't think I have yet. But I just like, wow, that you can bring a resolve to people because I can live out that truth. And we're all examples of that. That's really where the money should be going.
Please.
Hello, my name is Paul Berube. I do a lot of financial stuff, mostly mortgage lending and financial counseling. But one day I hope to have the same title that you have, Trinity. I think that what you do is kind of amazing, and I would like to be able to do that.
You have a calling for this, my friend. You and I have had this conversation before. Just talking pre-podcast, pre-recording, I got the feels from you. We're on the same like wavelength out of what we want to do and be doing and serving people. But you serve people already, just like I had served people in my previous positions, right? I was a nurse, served people a lot. You serve people in something that every single person needs, which is financial counseling, understanding their money for whatever goals that is, past mortgages. Tell us a little bit about your passion in that.
Well, so money is a really heavy topic for a lot of people, and especially when you are carrying some embarrassment or some shame about that, because those are real emotions for people. And then when somebody is going to be vulnerable, open the space and lean into the fact that they need help, I think you got to recognize that that's painful a lot of the times. People are being really vulnerable for you. And behind decisions that you as a banker, a financier, loan officer, whatever, are looking at, behind what you would think is a bad decision is a choice. Somebody made a choice. Maybe it wasn't a choice that they thought they were going to make. Maybe it wasn't a choice they wanted to make, but it was a choice. And I do think that bad things happen to good people. And my job is to let them know there's no shame that you need to carry here, but we can get you back to where you're going, and you can continue to live the life that you're choosing to live with every bit of who you are.
I love that approach because we all know that no one will do anything from shame.
Right.
Like, well,
It'll stop you.
It will stop you completely. There's a shame researcher, Brene Brown, which I think we all
Oh,
know.
I love her.
But it's so true. And what does a lot of society teaches us is like that shame game of finances, which just like spiraled us into even more shame and even more like bad choices. Like I remember my mom getting shamed for what's it called? Foreclosure. I remember the shame that she felt, which then caused shame for me from being grown up in that situation, which then like caused me to take bad financial steps early on in my life. So I love that you normalize that, like, hey, you're being vulnerable with me. Let's fix it.
Yeah, I think it's about meeting people where they are and showing up. And a lot of times, in any situation, I have a friend who recently went through a pretty devastating loss in their life. And people were like, I feel like saying I'm sorry isn't right. It's not enough. What do I say? What do I do? And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you just have to show up and sit in that uncomfortableness. But what I've also learned, and you brought it up a second ago, and it just had a light bulb moment to me. The shame that people feel like around foreclosure, around whatever, a lot of that is self-inflicted. We're projecting what other people think, but it's not really what they're thinking, because the truth is most people don't think about you as much as you think they do.
Yeah,
That happens a lot, I think.
I remember when you were on here last time, really like having that onion effect of how you are like Trinity in terms of being more of a mentor in your field than a servicer, an educator, and that matters to you. So it's kind of cool to see you feel more confident in that decision, because I sort of remember seeing you like unravel your mind to that awareness. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
There's so much shame with money. So I came from like a single mom who came from like, similar things, and just like apartments. Like I never lived in a house until I was much older and things like that. So it can come root a lot from childhood too. So and it is a sensitive place. So it would be great for people to take more initiative and like, help people grow from financial circumstances instead of just saying, oh, here's your car loan. Like, there's so much opportunity there. Yeah, I think that's wonderful.
Well, it's crazy. You think like, you get taught all this stuff in school on like how to live, and finances is like such a key piece to the way the world works. And there's no classes whatsoever on like how to learn to balance a checkbook or like put money in the bank or save money, or you know what I mean? It's like it blows my mind that there's no, it's like, yeah, it just blows my mind that that's a whole nother like rabbit hole that we can go down to.
I spend a lot of time educating people on things that are things that you would think are basic. Like, this is how you balance a checkbook. This is how you get your credit to work for you. All of those different things. It's not taught to people, and then people are left to their own devices, and that's where things go wrong.
Well, one thing that I have bring top of mind now when we talk, or I think about this, or I even get like victim-y, like in my brain, like, oh, I'm a single mom, rah, the credit score wasn't created until the 80s. So essentially it was taught to our parents who filtered it to us. So now we're the generation that has had to figure it out. The other generation thinks we're stupid and they're getting rich online. So we're kind of the ones just trying to gather the knowledge. If you really think about it, this process has not existed long enough to have like a formal education to it. I just don't think we talk about that enough. I think because people would get rid of it. Oh wait, we didn't create the credit score to the 80s? Why are we holding on to this?
You know what?
Like, think about that. I'm just saying. Like, it's
it would be super. You know what would be super powerful to teach in schools is the energy of money and how you use. So there's this book called Happy Money by Ken. And here's another, someone needs to go through all the podcasts and pull out all the resources that we talk about.
I'm trying to find AI to do it. I've been looking for the right thing. I'm going to be honest. I've put some legwork. I'm doing it. I'll find something. But
so the book Happy Money talks about the energy of money, because I see this pattern as a coach so often that you can make as much money as you want. I'll have a client come who says, like, I want a promotion. I want to build a business. I want more revenue in my business. And so, like, I work with a business owner who is in network marketing, or networking, I should say. Same networking that we're in. And they get referrals and they get referrals and they get referrals, or they don't get referrals. And either way, it ends up in no additional revenue. Some way, somehow, that person is blocking this. And so I'm like, all right, I don't even need to do like business coaching with you at this point. Like, we have to get rid of the negative mindsets and beliefs that you have about money and change the frequency that you're actually using your money and accepting your money. And as soon as we did that really deep, tough work, because all of these limiting beliefs come from our childhood, from things we're taught. So we all have traumas and stuff that is like related to that. Once we did that, that client was able to close client after client after client and referral after referral. And it's just so cool, because like that's where you see like the monetary results of the work that you're doing that's not monetary, right? The mindset work's not monetary work. I'm not teaching people how to use money. I'm teaching them to like eradicate the beliefs that are holding you back. And every single one's different.
You reprogram people. It's a beautiful thing. And I love that you get to witness physics at its best, or, I don't know how to explain that. Like the awareness of energy and how it works, and, our journey to understanding that. That's cool that you get to see that prove over and over again through other people.
Yeah.
Just to give a small example in my little world, when people think climbing, they think it's all arm, they think it's impossible, they think they have to be a man. And really, it's part pull up, part tuck. And then the legs pushing up. So it's actually 3 elements all together making it happen. I just love showing people that it's not what they think it is, and it's so much easier if you know the technique to do it. That's what that kind of reminds me of. Like, there's always that niche somewhere. I could use you. I feel like Paul said earlier about like, oh, I got to be a victim for 3 minutes, and it was just a beautiful thing to hear, because sometimes I do, especially with money, I feel kind of just like in time, or I'm burnt out, like, because I am wearing so many hats, like 2 kids, an LLC, I'm in school, I have this and other things. So it's just like a lot. And sometimes I feel like I go right to that, like, meh.
To normalize that victim mentality for a second, because like, even just as a mindset coach, a motivational speaker, I'll get up on stage, I'll work with clients and tell you exactly what you need to do, but I still get in that victim mode for a hot second. Like, but I think we need to normalize the process, just like Paul was talking about. Paul, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I think there's kind of 2 parts of it for me. One of it is, especially when you're doing something new, or you're trying something new, or you move into something that you've earned, imposter syndrome is a real friggin' thing. That is something that everybody deals with, because I can look around and see what everybody else is doing and be like, they got this. This is so easy for them. They're thinking the same thing about me. I'm not thinking it about me, but they are. So I think it's about owning the power in that situation. But yesterday, and I would say that usually I'm pretty like level. I can usually get myself through things and understand that emotions is more of a tool of telling me I'm in the right spot, I'm not in the right spot. But something popped up that would have been a really awesome opportunity, and I was really excited about it. And then it took a left, and I wasn't part of the left turn. And I, instead of being able to be like, okay, well, that sucks, but maybe this isn't the lane that the universe is trying to take me down, I decided to kick and scream and have a pity party for myself for 2 or 3 hours. And then I find the easiest way for me to process through emotion a lot of the times is to walk, because I'm burning energy, and it gives my mind something to do while I'm processing through it. And as I was doing that yesterday, I realized that I'm making something about me that isn't actually about me. It has nothing to personally do with me, but I'm making it that way. And because I'm making that way, I'm lowering my vibration, and what I'm able to accomplish and what I'm able to do because I'm stuck in this spiral